Welcome to the So Much More podcast, where we talk with people in the custom window treatment, soft home furnishings industry, and so much more. I'm your host, Seal DeGuglielmo. My guest on this episode of the Opportunity Thinking series of the podcast is Beth Allen. I've known Beth for quite a few years, and I'm really excited to share her journey with you, but also to share a product that she is bringing to the market. Beth is a DIY expert, a TV personality, an interior designer, and a licensed contractor, and a nurse, and a mom, and a wife, and a few other things besides. Beth is the founder of DIY Hip Chicks, teaching women how to screw and hammer too. Beth has made it her life's mission to empower women. And in the last year, she has finally, in her words, come up with a product that she's been thinking about for a long time. And I had the honor and the privilege of being a sounding board for Beth in some of the early stages of this product. So if you're listening on a podcast app, it will eventually be out on YouTube so you can see everything. But I will include pictures in the post on Facebook about the product. I don't want to tell you any more because I want you to hear about it from Beth as we're talking about it. I really do hope you enjoy hearing from Beth today.
Beth, welcome to my workroom and my podcast.
Hi, Seal. I'm happy to be in the workroom again.
Again.
I've been here a few times.
You have been. And I am really excited to be interviewing you today for the podcast because we've got multiple things to talk about. One is a nice big surprise, but I would love for you to explain to my listeners who you are, where you live in the world, and what you do.
Okay. Well, that's a big Pandora's box.
It is. Wait, how long do we have?
I know. I mean, we've known each other, almost 12 years, I think.
Yeah, I think
it's been a long time.
Yes.
So my name is Beth Allen. I own a business called DIY Hip Chicks, and it stands for Do It Yourself Home Improvement Project Chicks. And the whole business stemmed from a desire to help women be better homeowners, to teach them how to manage their home and really make them feel smart, capable, and confident. And not just as homeowners, but even beyond that, because when you fix a toilet flapper, you feel like you can take on the world. You know, it's like you didn't have to hire the guy. Right. You didn't have to look at plumber's crack.
You didn't have to wait for somebody else to take care of it.
I could take care of myself and my life. And Hip Chicks has morphed into a lot of different things over the years.
Yeah, you've done classes, you've done programs where you've helped people. You have done a lot.
It's been a crazy adventure. Yeah. So, in the course of all of this, we have done classes. We've done them online. We've done them in person. I shot a pilot for my own reality show. HGTV told me it was too educational. Go figure, right?
Jeez.
Yeah. So we moved on from that. But I hosted a radio show, all these kinds of adventures. But at the core of it, there was something that I'd really been thinking about for years. Mm-hmm. And one of them was I wanted to create a line of products that would help women as homeowners and DIYers. And we're not talking about tools. I'm not talking about drills or hammers. No pink. I love pink in a clothing, but I'm not into pink hammers.
Nope.
There's plenty of those tools out there. I wanted to develop some gear that would help women get things done with more ease, more comfort, timeliness, keep us more organized, especially for us women of a certain age. The menopause
brain. Who don't remember where we put things?
Oh my gosh, the menopause brain is so real. And part of me was like, how can I create something that would help us be more efficient and also feel good and look good?
Right.
Because if you've ever bought organizers, tool belts, all of those kinds of things, they're big, bulky, manly, brown, black. Why not have something that makes us feel good about ourselves? So I literally 10 years ago was making prototypes of things in my basement.
And we did talk about that then. You said something about how long you've been working on it, but now that you're saying it, I do remember having conversations about it.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. And then it wasn't until this past November when I lost a relative, and it was the wake-up call of, am I doing what I really want to be doing right now?
Right.
And I wasn't. So I just completely pivoted my work and have jumped into this adventure of developing a product.
And you moved more in the last 10 months than you did in those 10 years. Not that you weren't doing many other things, but you kind of put this on a back burner and didn't maybe have the sense of urgency that you did before you lost your cousin.
Yes.
Okay.
And that was just, it lit the fire under me.
Okay.
Of, I want to do this and time is ticking and I want to make this happen and I want to have impact. And that's what, January hit. I took all of December to just chill and think about what I was going to do. And then in January, I started sewing.
And you moved.
Yeah.
You really moved. Okay. So your career path actually is not as significantly different from many of my listeners who started out as a nurse.
Oh, yes. Because we're problem solvers.
Yes.
That's exactly what it is. We fix things.
Yes. And I was astounded at first when I hit the third or fourth interview and I was a nurse or still I'm a nurse.
Yeah.
And what I have found from those people that I've interviewed, exactly that, they're problem solvers, but they also felt like there was something creative missing in what they were doing. And I love the idea that we can be helpers and the caregivers and all of those things, but then also realize I can still do that. Because I had at least two people say, it didn't feel like, one had been a pediatric cancer nurse.
Wow.
And she said, then to go and make window treatments. But she said, I needed a break from the overwhelming sadness, although there was much joy. But to be able to make something beautiful, put it in someone's home and walk away is
it's different.
It fed a different part of her. So I'm now no longer surprised when I find out someone who is this creative as a nurse. But it's the idea that you are still helping people. And you've done in-person courses, you've done some online courses, all things helping people to develop a sense of comfort about, I can either figure out how to do this or at least figure out who I need to call if, in fact, it is beyond my abilities. Yeah. But that there's a lot I can do myself.
Yes.
And I know over the years you've gotten so many people who have come to you and said, thank you. You just made me feel like I can accomplish something.
Yeah. And it really has been just that whole mission of just trying to help homeowners.
Yeah.
And, when I first started this, again, I was a nurse and then I stayed home to raise my boys and I started ripping my house apart and people were like, how do you know how to do all this stuff? And I was like, well, how do you not? And I grew up in a house, we didn't have money and we lived paycheck to paycheck at times. So we had to be more resourceful and we had those MacGyver moments where you just had to figure things out. And if I could help other people have that mindset of looking at something that's going on and going, well, how do I just solve this in the moment? Mm-hmm. That was kind of a big motivation. And I was really just lucky that it took off. The local media got a hold of me teaching classes. And then before you know it, it's been 150 times they've been on Philly TV. Mm-hmm. Rachel Ray, QVC, and then the YouTube channel. It was like, how do I take this stuff that I'm doing and spread it? How do I get to more people? And now we're at 5.2 million views.
Get out of town.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, and it's all been organic. I don't, I'm not taking out ads. I haven't bought followers or views or anything like that. So it's just about making people look at a situation and go, how do I assess this? And that's part of nursing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It's looking at a situation and some things you're trying to fix are independent and some things are multi-system.
Right.
And it could be your house. Your garbage disposer is both plumbing and electric.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And if you don't think about it that way, you're not going to be able to solve the problem.
Right. Yeah. Your kidneys, you got to have blood flow to the kidneys and they also have to be performing their plumbing duty. Yes. You know what I mean? So it's what's going wrong? How do we fix it? What are our options? And how do we measure that it's working again?
Okay.
So
one of the things that there's a commonality is that a lot of the people in my industry started out as DIYers. Yeah. And it was, they knew how to sew. They would make some window treatments for themselves and somebody would knock on their door, which you've had happen and say, hey, I got this bolt of fabric. Will you make the same thing for me that you made for yourself?
Yep.
And then they
and I did that.
Yes, you did. And then you find yourself in a business that you're not really prepared to be in. And, and I think that the strides in my industry has been that we have taught women how to turn it into a business. And I've struggled a few times myself with the DIY mentality where it's, let me just glue this to this and then I'm done.
Yeah.
And that is not at all your approach. It is how do I fix it? How do I fix it correctly? And if it requires licensing and permits and things like that, how do I do it the right way? Again, how do I start a business the right way? How do I get all of those things?
How are you insured before you go hanging things for people so that you don't break something and have to repair?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not just doing it fly by night. It's taking those added steps.
And the education, which we've gone to a lot of trouble in the window treatments and soft furnishings industry to make sure that the people who came in with a talent or a skill now know how to turn it into a real business. Because as you are finding out, it's one thing to say, here's this product I want. And then there's the running of the business of that product.
Yes.
And you're not a stranger to this, but it's still okay, I've got this great thing. And we are going to tell you what this thing is. But it's not just the creation of it.
No.
It's everything that goes with it.
And that's the part I think of entrepreneurship that a lot of us don't anticipate.
No, absolutely
not. We're good at our craft. We love our craft. We're passionate about the things that we do and the things we create. Then we got to deal with taxes, and we have to deal with spreadsheets and P&Ls, and I hate all that. I absolutely despise. Somebody said to me one time, "What are you not good at?" And I went, math. Yes, I can add but I hate numbers. I hate all of that stuff. I hate the whole financial aspect of it.
That's another thing that you and I have in common. Yeah. But yet here we are, both in industries that require us to use math.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Well, and even in nursing, I had to do math.
Yes.
It's like I can still calculate IV drip rates, but it was like, I don't want to do advanced. I hate just the whole P&L. And I'm very fortunate. My husband has an MBA, loves taking care of finances. Boom, he does that aspect for me. But that's the other thing of running a business you have to understand is in the beginning, yes, you have to do it all. But at what point do you start to delegate the things that you're not as good at? Yeah. So you can focus on your strong suit. And for me, I'm more that visionary, the creative of this is what I see. And I need people who can be the task rabbits to execute some of the steps for me because that's where I get lost in the weeds. Okay.
All right. So I feel like this is probably a good time for us to tell what the product is and show it.
The unveiling.
Because then I have questions involving how you got to that point.
Okay.
So why don't we do that?
Okay. So what I created was a tool apron. And I had found from doing so many projects that all the tool belts that were out there, they were crappy. Mm-hmm. They were thick, heavy, ugly, manly. Before you put them on, you put them on and they didn't even have a tool in them.
3 or 4 hanging at the end of the table here because I can't get one I love.
And I have them too. And I was like, what can I make that is comfortable, that has enough, the right pockets in the right places for the average woman to be able to tackle a job? And I soon began to realize that my idea wasn't just for DIY. It was for gardening, crafting. It could be for professional organizers. I have a woman just bought 2 of them. She's a senior move manager and helps senior citizens down.
Oh, wow.
So that
would be very handy for her.
So it's a little bit of professional organizing as well as moving, packing. Okay. So, and then we talked in the workroom and sewing. And I actually wore an apron while I was making my prototype aprons. And I was like, yes, this works. So this is what it is. It is the Handy Hipster Do-It-All Tool Apron.
Okay.
So, and Seal has her very own.
I know, I cannot wait.
And she gets her very own Handy Hipster. And the name Handy Hipster came from just the idea that it's for women who want to be handy, who like to be hands-on. And the hipster, it's hip for home improvement project, of course, and hip checks. And the stir is for a sisterhood of badass doers.
I love it. I love it. I don't know that I ever heard that entire explanation. All right. So I'm going to use the seam ripper. And even though we often say, if you see me with a seam ripper in my hand, don't come near me. I'm using it for all the right reasons.
Seam rippers can be used for paper, tape.
Yes, just don't use my fabric scissors.
Oh my gosh.
That actually is I'm learning that is a fallacy, that as long as you keep your scissors sharp, it doesn't matter what.
Oh, but no.
But nobody can touch my
Nope.
expensive scissors. All right.
Yeah.
So I need a moment. Oh, Beth, this looks amazing. And you have a personalized note inside it. Okay. So first we do this.
Show everybody.
That is amazing.
Yeah. Our box says power, purpose, and confidence. And there are some emojis in that box lid. And the emojis are because my dear cousin would sign off everything with a litany of emojis. And I wanted to incorporate my cousin into the product.
So we've got the fist bump, the heart emoji, and the
I can do it.
I can do it. Doing it yourself doesn't mean do it all alone. Everything you need and want is within your reach. That's brilliant. I love that. Okay, so here is the handy hipster. And I'm going to put
You're
it
going to
on.
model it on.
Yes, I need to.
We may have to just hold it up.
Yeah.
I
think that's probably just the best
for our
way.
viewers.
Yeah.
So it is 100% made in America.
But here we go.
Yeah. It is 12-ounce denim. It is canvas. It has nylon straps. It has 15 pockets.
So many pockets.
So many pockets. All different sizes and shapes, because when you're working on projects, you need to be able to modify and what can go where. So there's little pockets, big pockets. Yeah. So what I did on the apron was, again, it's multi-purpose.
Okay.
So we have a hammer loop.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a gardener, you could also put a small hand shovel, upside down in there. We've got 2 skinnier pockets on the side. We have reinforced stitching on these shorter pockets for your sharps or your scissors.
Mm-hmm.
We have the glove clip, which you can use for gloves in a workspace. You could also use it for a towel, a rag, you're wiping your fingers, things like that. We have there's a little note that comes with it, and there's a QR code on the back, and it goes over what you could use the apron for in different fields, and I kind of give you suggestions on what goes where.
Okay.
We have a valuables pocket, which is a little Velcro pocket, because if you are working out in the yard or you're working on a dirty project and you're like, oh my gosh, I have my rings on, you can take them off and it's safe.
Okay.
Because it Velcros fully.
Okay.
Spot for your cell phone, a Sharpie, a pencil, and chapstick or lipstick, because why not? Now, one of the things that drove me crazy about a lot of the aprons that I was looking at and that I've bought, tool belts, tool aprons, was the pockets weren't big enough for a Sharpie.
Yes.
They only fit a pencil.
Yes.
And I'm like, hello?
Yeah.
What if you do want to use a Sharpie? Not necessarily on fabric.
Right, but if I'm marking wood or something like that.
Right.
To
If
cut,
you're doing cornice boards and, you got to mark stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, we need a wide pocket and a skinny pocket. And the little red leather, it's a faux leather.
Okay.
Just keeping it, animal friendly. It's a faux leather strap for our eyeglasses.
Yes.
Because, especially women of a certain age, my gosh, between regular glasses for distance and then you're switching to readers or your sunglasses or safety glasses if you're cutting wood.
Right.
So you can hang them right in front of you.
Okay.
We have...
And then you can find them.
And you know where they are. They're not under a bolt of fabric. So I have a wide pocket here, 2 layers of a wide pocket. Because sometimes you just want that... that extra
something
space.
big.
A lot of them are just narrow on aprons.
Yep.
We have a tape loop. So if you...
This is so smart.
I love them.
Yes.
So here is a Velcro tab tape loop. So if you're working with ribbon, or even if you're working with lip cord, and you've got it on a roll, you're making your own lip cord. You could have the roll hanging there and you could be feeding it into the machine.
Right.
All of that is just at your fingertips. And then here is another, smaller, thinner pocket. And then this pocket on the side, the 2 wider pockets, one is wide enough for a water bottle
Okay.
So that's great. And then my favorite pocket of all,
Yes.
my favorite pocket is a magnetic pocket. So basically it is a pocket with a magnet inside. So you can use the pocket inside for all of your hardware, your screws, your nails, whatever. And you can also just place it on the outside.
Okay.
So once it's inside, you can literally turn it upside down and it won't fall out.
Right.
And it's great for that time when you're getting up on a step stool, a ladder,
Right.
and you don't want to be dropping. But pins also fit here as regular pins and even T-pins.
Okay. And the other thing I noticed too, Beth, is the cut of it. It is slightly shorter here in the front of you, and then it's slightly longer on the sides, which is ideal.
Yeah. So you have longer tools can fit on the outside, but we want to be able to move. We want to have comfort. So I cut it so it fits right across the hip.
And you and I had talked about that because when I have certain, and I do have multiple aprons and belts and everything else, when I go to sit down, it's either bunching up or it's, I can't move my legs properly. So, and some of the attention to detail, like the pockets have the ability to expand a little bit because you've allowed extra fabric. Yeah. And these are the things that I was fascinated with in the development of it, because you and I spent a few hours together, like kind of going through things. And
we had all these things.
This table was all spread out.
But that's what I found with a lot of the tool belts was they were just like a flat pocket. And if you have that thing that has more girth.
And everything in my workroom has some kind of depth to it.
Yeah. And so when I was I've made 12 different versions of this, I think. And then when I sent it to the manufacturer, they sent me back the first sample and I'm like, more pouching. And literally she didn't know how much I knew about sewing. So she would say, how much of a gap do you want? And I'm like, oh no, so I'm just like responding back to her in sewing terms, and she was like, oh, thank you,
Yeah.
And it was great because I spoke the language. And one of the things that I'm so happy about though, is the company that I found. I don't know whether I want to call it a workroom, but they do major projects. Like they do, they've done tents, they do bags, like all sorts of material based products.
Okay.
I asked the manager, how much of your workforce is female, like percent wise? And she goes, everyone but the owner. And I went, oh my God.
Yeah.
So literally these aprons are being made in America, made in Colorado by an all female team.
Okay. I love that. When you shared that with me, I thought that was just amazing.
It made me so happy to know that, women are actually making this and, sourcing all the materials and the products. Oh, that was an adventure.
So as DIYers, as people who will look at a project and go, I could do that. And you and I have talked about this. You go early stages. I was at craft shows and people, I could make that. Oh, I could make that.
Right.
I'm here to tell you cannot make sense. Not the way Beth has. We literally would sew things together and then try it. No, that's not going to work.
Oh yeah. I ripped this thing apart so many times.
Yeah.
And I've tried it on different people. We've tried different tools and different pockets. I've tried 3 different kinds of denim because, and just 3 different designs. Initially, I had 4 layers of denim. I had a back.
That's right.
And then I had, the canvas layer. And then I had the front denim. And then because denim's not finished on the back, I had a backing.
Right.
So we had duck on the back. So it was 4 layers.
Yeah.
It was too thick. It was too heavy. It was too expensive. So then I was like, how do I do this that I can drop a layer? And I'm like, duh, it's called fold the top. So then I came up with the idea of just folding the top layer of denim so that the back finished faces the back of the apron, folded over. So I cut out an entire layer by adding 4 inches of denim to the back.
Right. But all of this took time, and it took the ability to not be attached to the outcome at the very beginning. The outcome was to make a great apron. Right. The immediate outcome of, I figured out I'm going to do it this way. You didn't stick with things. You were open-minded enough to say, oh, yeah, that's not going to work. That was a great idea until it's not. And you moved on from things very quickly, which I think is kind of integral to creating a product. You cannot be stuck. This is absolutely how it has to be, because you would try it and it wouldn't work.
And it morphed a lot. And honestly, my adventure at Shark Tank helped me make this decision.
Tell us about the Shark Tank.
Yeah.
I always struggle with this word. I have no reason to be proud of you, but I am proud of you for everything that you've accomplished. But that was really a step out of everyone's comfort zone.
I was like, why not?
And you made it clear ahead of time you were doing it. So if you didn't get chosen, people were going to know that about you, which is not a problem for you personally.
Right.
But it was also another opportunity to say, you can do this. Whatever it is, you can do it.
Exactly.
And you can fail, if that's the word you choose to use. Right. Or you can say,
it didn't work out.
It didn't work out, but guess what I learned is that's your whole, that's you in a nutshell.
It is me. It's just try.
Yeah.
Try things and put yourself out there and have fun, because, if we don't try things, we don't learn new things.
Right.
I was invited to go on the NBC local morning show, and I didn't know what I was doing. I'd never been on TV before. Mm-hmm. And it was in that moment that the host said to me after our segment, she goes, you nailed this, and you need to be on film. You need to be on TV. You need to be on video. And I was like, what? Had I not done that, I would never have had 5 million views on YouTube.
Exactly.
And pushed past that discomfort of, I'm on video. So now I'm like, oh, well.
Yeah.
But going on Shark Tank it was going to be here in Philly. It was, okay, it's 45 minutes from my house. How do I not just show up and see what happens?
Yeah.
So at that point, I had the prototypes of the aprons, and I had really started with the full bib apron. Mm-hmm. And that's what we had worked on. Right. And you had helped me with some of the stitching. And with the full bib apron, I had gotten some feedback from a few people that they didn't want it across their chest. It was heavy. They didn't want the straps over their back, and the pricing. I had gotten a price for having them made, and it was going to be almost $80 per item.
Okay.
Just for manufacturing.
Right.
And I was like, okay, that's way too high of a price point. So I was like, what am I going to do? And I said, what if I just make a waist only? Just make the short apron. And literally on Monday, I started making a new prototype. I took the design from the old one and just modified it, came up with the arch, in the hip line and all of that. And I made it on a Monday. Shark Tank was Thursday.
Oh my goodness.
The stitching wasn't square, wasn't straight. Again, I'm not a professional. This isn't what I do all the time. So I was like, what the hell? So I had 2 friends with me. 2 of them were in the full bib apron. Okay. One had professional organizer gear in hers. The other had gardening gear. And I had the short one. So it was our turn to pitch. Now, there were 800 businesses that showed up that day.
Oh, wow.
And each person had 2 or 3 people.
Okay.
So there was well over 1,200 people present. It was high energy. It was fun. Everybody's in line. What do you do? What do you do? And all cheering each other on. It was such great momentum.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was great experience. But we had 1 minute to pitch.
1 minute to explain all the great things about this.
Yes.
Okay.
So you had 1 minute to tell who you were, what your thing was about, and what kind of money you wanted from the sharks.
Okay.
So you had to go in. There was 5 producers. And here we are. We're pitching this to like 30-year-old producers.
Okay.
So these are young people who may not have any experience with the products that you're selling or the need.
They just have experience with selling the TV show.
Exactly.
And creating the TV show. Okay.
So you go up, everybody gets on the line, and you have your 1 minute pitch. And she said to me, so where are you in the process? And I said, we're just in prototypes. And we have the 2 tall full bib, and we have the mini apron. And she goes, the mini's the one you want to go on. She said, really like that. I see that has more potential.
Okay.
That was the only feedback we got.
Okay. And
we were told we would get a notice within like 2 weeks if we were invited to progress. Mm-hmm. And I didn't expect to get one. There were people there with products that had sales and all of that stuff.
Okay.
So but the energy and the experience, and I got some validation from somebody who sees products in all day long.
Yes.
And she's like, I would work on the mini one.
Okay.
And I was like, okay. So we skipped the full bib and went with the mini.
Okay. So one of the questions I ask all of my guests is, what have been your biggest challenges so far in getting this done?
In this particular thing? Part of it has been not the idea, not the creation, is sourcing the materials.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to find fair pricing, because, I was trying to find manufacturers. And so that was it, the material sourcing and the manufacturers.
Okay.
Because I really wanted to keep it in the US. And with all the tariffs and stuff and the instability of not knowing what was going on, I didn't want to get myself into a trouble that I'm ordering a product, but now because of tariffs, I can't afford to buy my own product.
Right.
So I wanted it US, and finding someone that could do that was tough.
Right.
And the next challenge was communication from the manufacturer. So I had two companies in the running, and one was charming from the get-go and then dropped off communication.
Okay.
And I was chasing. And my mentor that I hired said communication with your manufacturer is key.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it costs you a little bit more, even if it takes you a little bit longer, if they're going to give you quality and they're going to communicate, that's who you work with.
Okay.
So that's why I chose the folks in Colorado. And then again, the sourcing and trying to find quantities that you need at the price you want to pay.
Right.
We agreed to a minimum order quantity, or an MOQ. All the new terms.
Oh yeah,
I'm
new
learning.
terms.
I'm like,
Okay.
I have never done this.
Yeah.
But we're diving in. So that's been the biggest challenge in trying to find.
Okay.
I ordered, get this, 5,000 yards of 1.5-inch nylon strap.
Wow. And at what point did you look at that and go, I hope I'm going to need 5,000?
Yes.
And then I predict there's going to be that day where they're like, you need another 10,000 yards.
I'm hoping.
Yeah.
I'm hoping. And also, though, the planning ahead of, I don't know that this manufacturer can handle like super high volume. Or, I don't know. So for the 300, they're like, yes, we're in.
Okay.
So we'll have to see, do I need another manufacturer? Or do I have to go search for another part?
Okay. So along those lines, I would love to know what surprised you the most about this, because as we were getting set up and you're setting up a camera and I'm setting up my iPad, we're both saying like, this is not where we thought we were going to be when we started our businesses. No. But you went from helping women in their homes to designing a product and then having it manufactured. Really different skill sets. And you said you hired a mentor, but I'd love to know what has been the biggest surprise in all of this for you.
I think the biggest surprise is just all the steps that go into it. Okay. We look at a product in the store, and we're all guilty of this. We look and go, I wouldn't pay that. And you look at it again.
Because we're DIYers and we can make things ourselves.
Right. But even things that aren't like easily, DIY'd, we don't realize all of the steps that go into something. I mean, I walk around the dollar store now and I go, how do they manufacture that for $1?
Yeah.
How is anybody making a profit off of that at $1?
Right. Because you know how many steps went into this.
I know how many steps. I know how many, pieces of material, how many folds, how many different steps.
Yeah.
So it was interesting in the bidding, how they came back and they're like, well, based on how many stitch lines, how many pieces of fabric, how many steps, that's how they priced it.
Right. And that makes sense to me as a window treatment fabricator, knowing if you're going to add leading edge trim, or if you're going to do something that's inset that requires an extra seam, I then know that that's going to create more hours of my time that I need to dedicate to this. So they're using the same practice.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And it's just learning. And then I started to get that feedback from them. And then when I got the first sample and I'm like, I need to tweak it. I was like, tweak it in a sense that it doesn't create more steps and possibly limits or eliminates another step.
Okay.
Like changing the lining in the back.
Okay. So we were saying earlier that, 10 years ago you thought about this. And then because of a life event and losing someone you love, it really motivated you. Did you ever think about quitting and just going, I'm not doing this. This is not going to go anywhere. This is not worth my time.
Honestly, I have thought that in many, many stages of my business along the way, but not since I lost my cousin.
Okay.
Not since I started this.
Okay.
There's something deep in me that says this has purpose. And I have 5 or 6 other products that are going to be part of a product line.
Mm-hmm.
So Handy Hipster is really going to be the name of a product line.
Okay.
And the Do It All apron is just
the
one
name
product.
of that product.
Yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, I will say that I've never felt this confident ever before in my business.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that's awesome.
And know what? I keep channeling Sarah Blakely. And if you don't know who Sarah Blakely is, she's the inventor of Spanx.
Right.
And I just have Sarah in my mind.
And I think she heard no more than any person on the planet trying to come up with a new idea. Yeah. So, okay, good person to keep in your head. All right. I often ask people, if you weren't doing this for a living, what would you be doing? This being most of my guests are window treatment and soft furnishings creators. You have kept your hand in nursing, but now that you've gotten to this point, can you see yourself doing anything else?
Yes and no. I really love this, and I want to be entrepreneurial, and I want to have lasting impact. I want to be able to look back on my life and go, I made an impact, and I changed things for women.
Okay.
Part of the platform with the product line is I want to be giving quarterly donations back to domestic violence programs because elevating women is just huge for me. So if I wasn't going to be pursuing this, I would probably go back full time in some nurse education. I don't want to be a floor nurse. I'm getting too old for that. I can't be moving patients around anymore. But to me, it's about education.
Okay.
So it would be educating people about health, if not about home.
Okay. So you mentioned a legacy. What's your definition of success?
My definition for success is, I guess it's twofold. It's the success for me as a human, as an individual, knowing that I made an impact.
Okay.
And feeling that I did all that I could. I worked hard. I did it with authenticity and integrity. And then the other piece of being successful is that other people felt the impact.
Gotcha. Okay. I like that. And as many years as I've been doing this podcast, I never get the same answer twice. And I love hearing what people's definition is. All right. So before we started to record, we were talking about struggling with decisions, and people handle failure in different ways. Some people won't even use the word failure. They'll just say, didn't work out. And you've said that twice already. So I think I know where you're going to go with this, but I'd love to hear what happens when you make a mistake or there is a failure.
Wow. It depends. For the most part, I look at stuff and I go, all right, that didn't work. I immediately go into, how can I fix it?
Okay.
And I think that is at the core of who I am. Is anything goes wrong, like, how do we solve it? How do we fix it? And, failure is, it didn't work out, basically. And, when you're a nurse, and if you're working in a hospital setting or a clinical setting and you do screw up, somebody could die. There could be dire consequences. Yes. And I honestly keep that as the ultimate checkpoint. Mm-hmm. And I've said to myself, okay, nobody's going to die today.
I say that many times about window treatments. No one's going to die because
I have to rip this out, or I have to order new fabric, or, I cut it wrong. And that's kind of what I step back and go, in the magnitude of life, this is not that big a deal. Yeah. It's fixable. Yeah. And I don't remember who, it might be Marie Forleo, who says everything is figure outable.
Yes. Yes.
And I love that, because you can step back and go, all right, and it's funny. I don't know whether it's a male female thing or it's just a Beth and her husband thing, but like something happens in our house, and my husband, who is, a brilliant guy. He's an analyzer. So he'll stand there and he'll look at the situation. He's taking it in, and I see him, and I'm gone. I'm already doing. Like the other night, I came home and our refrigerator was making a hissing noise. And I'm like, oh, we got to roll this baby out. So pull it out from the wall. And the water line had a split, and water was shooting, and the wall was wet, and the floor was wet. And he's like, well, how did this happen? And I'm like, who gives a crap? We got to get some towels. I'm going downstairs. I'm turning up. So for me, it's always, how do we solve it? How do we go? And I drive my kids crazy because they come to me with issues. I'm like, okay, how are we solving this? And they're like, whoa. Yeah. So as much as sometimes women complain that men are problem solvers when they come with emotions,
right?
I do tend to be that way.
Yeah. Well, and there's that great line, do you want me to listen or do you want me to help you solve? And I don't always ask that question. I just hit solve mode.
Yeah, I go right into solve mode most of the time.
Okay. All right. So I would like to know about the development of this. You did hire a mentor.
Yes.
And that's been really helpful for you. Are you a book reader? Have you read any business books?
Oh, I read constantly. Okay. From fiction to self-improvement, business-related stuff. I love Brendan Burchard from a business perspective, so I've read some of him. Of course, Michael Port. I've been in Michael Port's world of Book Yourself Solid. And but the book that really kind of helped spark all of this is a book by Ryan Daniel Moran called How to Build, what is the title again? How to Have $1 Million Business in 12 Months.
Oh, I've seen that book. Okay.
And it was a free Audible book. I didn't even pay for it. It was in the free category.
Well, that might fit into how to earn $1 million in that year.
Don't waste money on things. But I listened to his book 3 times. 3 times I listened to it. And then I followed him on Instagram. And I said to my husband, this is right after my cousin died, and I hadn't quite dropped the bomb on Ken that I'm very unhappy and I want to do something different. And I said to him, would you listen to this book? And while he was in the stages, I said to him, I really want to pivot. And when he was done the book, he came to me and he said, when do we start?
Okay.
And he got it.
Okay, good. I love that. I love, because I'm a big book reader and I love hearing what other people like to read. So I would love to know, especially because both of our businesses have a lot of hands-on things. I always love asking the question about technology. Do you have any technology that you love to use, that you use frequently in your business?
Canva.
Okay.
Cannot live without Canva.
Okay. And what do you use it for?
All the graphics for everything I do. Even when I do a lecture and I teach a class, I do all of my presentations in Canva, use all the graphics. I still teach dementia classes to empower families on how to manage dementia loved ones. So I use the presentations are great. The photos are great. And with that account that you buy, you have the licensing to use all of that in your So it is the best $150 a year
because you can do wedding invitations, you can do shower invitations, you can do all kinds of
presentations. So for me, Canva is huge. And also chat. I've been using Chat GPT for a lot of the marketing.
Okay.
And it's actually Chat GPT that came up with the name Do It All Apron.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was typing in stuff, talking about what the apron is and what it was about and what the thought and philosophy, and it came up with those words. And I went, ooh,
that's it. That's it. Okay. I love it. All right. Because your business has changed, I'll ask this a little bit differently. What are the 3 business items you cannot live without? Let's talk about it from the DIY hip chicks and then to creating the apron.
Wow. From hip chicks and the hardcore DIY, my power drill.
Okay.
My favorite tool of all. I wear a hammer on my neck, but the hammer is a tool for connection. So it's meaningful to me. My power drill. And then from the handy hipster perspective, denim.
Yeah.
I'm like in my denim phase of
yes,
life.
Yes, you are. You're
I'm
going to be dreaming denim.
I bought a purse at Marshall's 2 months ago. It's this little tiny, hardcore, like hard-sided. And it's so cute. And everywhere I go, people are like, oh my gosh, I love your bag. I'm like, yeah, it was $27 at Marshall's.
Because of course that's the first thing we say.
Right. But I'm in my denim stage of life. I'm drawn to everything denim.
Okay. When you know the difference between 7-ounce and 12-ounce denim, then yes, you are into denim. Okay. Beth, what do you do extremely well?
Educate and empower.
Love that. Okay. What do you not do so well?
Math.
I love when that's the answer. What about you would surprise people?
I asked my husband that last night.
Okay.
And
that's not always a good thing, by the way. I've gotten some really awful answers when people have asked
really?
But Ken's a great guy.
So, my husband's great. What would, because he was like, I don't know. What would surprise people? I'm going to say this because your viewers don't know me. I mean, people who know me might know this more, but I have a lot of anxiety.
We've talked about this a lot on the podcast, and I had a guest very early on who talked about it, and it was life-changing for the people who heard it. And I think it's one of those things that if we don't share that with people, again, before we got started filming, you and I were talking about, like, you just walk around with this like constant buzzing around you of anxiousness, and the least helpful thing is, but nothing's wrong. Calm down. Like those.
Right. Yeah, I live with a lot of anxiety, and it's something I'm working on. I'm trying to manage.
Okay. What's your best tool for managing it for people who are listening?
For me, it's going out in nature and running.
Okay.
My sister just gave me I just ran Broad Street, which, if you don't know, is a 10-mile run through Philly. I just ran that in May. I have fibromyalgia, and that makes, I push through pain and fatigue. But my sister gave me a shirt and it says, life happens and running helps.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
So for me, just getting outside and being with nature, tuning out the world and the sunlight and the fresh air is huge.
Okay. Because often when the topic of anxiety or other mental health issues comes up on the podcast, people will say, okay, but what do you do about it? Like I'm happy to hear I'm not alone, but what works for that person, maybe it could work for me. Yeah. So I always like to ask that. All right. So initially in your early days of DIY Hip Chicks, you would say you help women screw and hammer too.
That's my tagline.
Which I love that.
I teach women to screw and hammer too.
Correct. Okay. So what I'd love to know is, what about that part of your business and this part of your business have you loved the best?
Wow. Seeing women light up when they can do something for themselves. Yeah. That is huge. One of my students messaged me yesterday and said she recaulked her bathtub and she felt so freaking proud of herself. I had a woman from France message me on YouTube and said, thank you for this video. You helped me caulk my tub.
Oh my gosh.
Like, that to me is everything. Yeah. Because this was a woman, all of these women that are out there who in that moment weren't sure, could I do this? How do I do this? And I gave them either the instruction or the motivation
or the permission
that you can do this.
Yeah, okay.
And I say this with full sincerity. I mean, not every woman is a mother, biologically, but women have the ability to give birth to a human being. Why do we let anything intimidate us that we can't accomplish what we want?
I love that analogy. That
is the greatest thing that women are capable of doing.
I love that. All right. So what do you love least about this?
I really do hate the financial part of running a business and just having to figure out all those numbers. I am all about the creativity. I know you know our friend Sue Geyer, and Sue did this workshop years ago in one of our groups on your core values. And I did this core values exercise. And if you if you're interested, look it up. There's things online you can find and they walk you through. But my core values are responsibility, authenticity, and creativity. And I remember at the time I was stuck at the end. You have to choose like the words that hit home. And I was stuck between family and creativity. And Sue said to me, she goes, I know you love your family. She goes, you're a wonderful mother and, wife. If your whole family were to pass tomorrow, would life cease to exist? And I said, no, I'd still find life. And she said, if you could never create something ever again, I was like, I would be suffocated.
Wow. But how brilliant of her to put those questions together. Wow.
So for me, creativity, and my mind is always going on looking at something going, well, wow, if you did it this way, it would save time. It would save space. It would be more fit. Like constantly thinking and creating on how to make things better.
Okay. All right. I love that. In what ways do you think you're resilient?
Oh, in what ways? I've been knocked down a lot. My family history, narcissistic mother, estranged for 27 years. That is the core of my resilience.
Okay.
When your own mother pushes you out of your life at 21 years old, you have to pick yourself up. And that is probably at the core of my resilience.
Okay. I used to ask the question, do you think you're resilient? And I realized that those of us who are entrepreneurs are. It's not do you think you are? We are. And for different reasons and in different ways. And another one is that you deal with the fibromyalgia. Yeah. You have the pain, you have the not lethargy, because I think that's the wrong word, but the lack of energy due to the disease. Right. And yet you keep going. Yeah. And that's what I find with so many resilient people is that they sort of are taken aback by the question, like, well, what else would I do except keep going? And I don't think that people realize there is an option, and that is to stay in bed with the covers pulled up. Not a great one. I'm not advocating for
and I have my days.
And lots of people do that. But as business owners, we just find a way to keep going.
Yeah. My brother-in-law said that to me a couple of years ago. He goes, you have such grit. And you just keep reinventing yourself and finding new things that motivate or stimulate. And I don't know that you can teach that. I think it's just part of, I don't know whether it's a nurture or nature kind of thing.
I don't know if it's created by the circumstances we grow up in or it's created in spite of. I'd love to learn more about that. But
I don't know. But I was pretty resilient, I think, as a teenager too. Okay. And then it just...
Then you had no choice but to be resilient.
Well, exactly. I mean, when you're 21 and you have a year of college and your parents have now basically disowned you and you have to pay for college, you have to work, you have to put food on your table.
You have to have a table to put it on.
Right. Yeah. My senior year of college was hell year of growing up and being independent. And if I get through that, I can get through anything else.
Yeah. It's amazing. And again, you referred to the nursing as like nobody's going to die in this part of it, but you get through a day of nursing and you look back and go, I can do anything. If I can do all those things, I can do
this.
Okay. Yeah. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Can I be bold and audacious?
Please be. Please.
I want Hip Chicks and Handy Hipster to be a national brand that is selling strong on Amazon and in stores and retails that women look to as tools for them to be able to get things done that really empower them.
Okay.
That offer them comfort and support, accommodation for us as we get older, and our bodies can't do. I mean, some of the things that I have in mind are, specialized kneeling cushion because getting down to the ground is a little harder.
Getting down isn't so bad. It's the getting up that's not so easy.
I want to create a drill holster.
Okay.
I want a freaking end cap in Home Depot.
Okay. All right. I love that. We're gonna note this date and look for it. So I will put links to your YouTube channel. You're on Instagram.
Yep.
And also Facebook.
Yep.
Okay. I'll put links to all of that in the show notes. I could sit here all day and talk to you, but we both have stuff to do. I would love for you to leave our listeners with some advice to stop them from, if they've got a product or something that they've been thinking about for, I don't want them to wait 10 years. I don't want them to lose someone to be motivated to do it. What would you say to them if you've got it? And it doesn't have to be a product. It could be, it's more like, what are you waiting for? Like,
What are you waiting
along
for?
those lines, what advice would you give to somebody?
It's very easy to sit back and say, who wants my stuff? Who wants what I'm creating? People aren't going to think it's of value. People aren't going to pay me. People aren't in need of this thing. And I want to say no, because you walk around the dollar store, you walk around Target, and you look at some of the goofy shit, pardon me, that's out there.
That's the word I was thinking.
And you're like, people are buying that stuff?
Yeah.
And you step back and you think, I'm bringing something of value.
Right.
And before you just go jumping into stuff, you do have to, I think, understand, am I serving a need? Am I solving a problem? Is there a market? Is there a group of individuals that this is going to resonate with?
Okay.
So that one, you're not creating something that is just a whim. You know, like you can create a big piece of art. It doesn't mean that there's a buyer for it.
Correct.
So you do have to have a little bit of practicality with what you create. But the idea that you don't have the ability or the worthiness to bring something to market is BS. That would be my biggest message.
Okay.
You are worthy of bringing something to market. You have to make sure that the item you're going to bring to market is worthy of attention.
Okay.
And fills a need. You have to separate the thing from you.
Correct.
And I struggled with that because so much of what I do is teaching, and
that is you.
It's me.
Yeah,
it's
is
my
you.
personality. Yeah. It's my sass. It's my style. My IP. This is something tangible. So I'm finding this is a little bit easier.
Okay.
Because this is a part of me.
Right.
An extension. But this is a thing. This is not just Beth.
Okay.
And I'm finding this is a little bit easier to develop and market. And if it doesn't go as I want and intend, I can separate it a little bit from myself.
Okay. I love that. Beth, thank you for joining me here in my workroom today.
I love hanging out in the workroom.
This was great. Thank you. This was awesome. And congratulations. And I cannot wait to use my apron in my workroom. Thanks, Beth.
Thank you, Seal.
I really hope that you enjoyed hearing from Beth today. Her enthusiasm and her energy and her willingness to pivot and to change her direction has always impressed me. But I think what impresses me the most about her is her determination. And once she decided it was time, and she has moved ahead with this. I was honored to have her pick my brain a little bit and go through some things together with her and show her some ways that we might use things in our industry a little differently than someone with other tools might use. But it has just been so incredible to watch her get through the decision making as well as deciding what was most important to her and how to make this product come to life. So there is a limited supply available of these aprons right now. If you're interested in buying them, Beth will be getting more. But as you heard, the manufacturing journey is not a simple one. And so Beth has had to learn a lot along the way. But I will provide a link to Beth's website. And if you purchase one of these aprons, I'd love to hear how you like it. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a great day.